Hello everyone. So, I just found an old thing from my main channel, and it's my old star card loadout. So I thought I'd do a little video where I compare my old loadout to my current loadout. This is my old loadout from back in July of 2021, July 14th. I'm not expecting it to be too different, but we're going to see just how different it is. So we're going in order of the heroes. So we're starting off with Boba Fett. So it seems I originally went with fuel efficiency, so the jetpack fuel burns slower when flying. Born to Fly, so the abilities cool down faster. And oddly enough, acute concussion. Why did I choose this card? The thing is, Boba Fett has such terrible cards as it is. Like, really, even as someone who uses Vocalize, I can admit that this card isn't really that great. Also, I've just noticed, is that Jakku there in the background? Anyway, really, the only good cards he has are Fuel Efficiency, Born to Fly, and Quick Refill. But currently, I'm using Quick Refill, Born to Fly, and Vocalize. I mainly use Vocalize because that extra little bit of damage can be useful. But I also in this video, I think I only cover heroes versus villains. So I'll try to cover both modes, both troopers and hero modes, and dueling. But also for some heroes I just don't play them in trooper modes. So yeah. And in Boba's case, I don't change my loadout. To be honest, this is kind of like the loadout I always use. So let's go to Bosk. See how much he's changed, if any. Okay, so at that time I was using Name Your Poison. Okay, I was using multi-traps, and I was using Unrelenting Predator. That's odd. Did I have a co-op loadout on at that point? Huh. Doesn't seem like that's the case. I don't know if I think I was using the trap harving speed and multi-traps in hero modes at that time. I can't remember what my other card was though. It was probably Predator Resilience, but I have switched to Name Your Poison. That extra little bit of health you get from the Dioxis grenade, it's just too good. As for trooper modes, I haven't really used Bosk a whole lot in trooper modes. Again, trooper modes weren't really my... They just didn't appeal to me much until like last year. And I haven't really played them much even since last year either. So it's a little bit... So for some heroes I'm fairly alright. Other heroes not so much. Okay, maybe not last year, the year before I think. But yeah. Now on to Chewbacca. Where's it looks like I just went straight. Did I skip Chewbacca? Like, or am I just seeing them all out of order? Okay, I guess we're doing Vader next, never mind. Vader is just the same. Furious Resilience, Bonus Health, Punishing Grip, that's how it was before. Okay. Honestly, these are probably just... This is kind of like the best loadout for Vader. You know, I think you see lots of people using that loadout. For trooper modes, I think I do occasionally swap it between Last Gasp, but I'll also go with Surrounded by Fear, or There Is No Escape, or Deflection Stamina. I don't use Vader enough in trooper modes. Again, I don't play them enough or use Vader enough in trooper modes to really figure out what to replace punishing grip with. Because there's certain situations where surrounded by fear is quite good, but also there is no escape where the lightsaber throw travels far. That's quite good. So there's not really any use for intensified lightsaber throw in those modes either, because it's going to be a 2-hit anyway for most people. Okay, for Palpatine, I know that this is pretty much the same loadout I was using at that time, but it looks like for Troop 4 and co-op at that time I was using Show No Mercy alongside the Rule of 2 for some reason. I don't know why. But I know for a fact that Palpatine is unchanged. Okay, Yoda's quite interesting. I know for quite a while I was going with, I think it was agility, feel the force, and not lightsaber mastery, agility, feel the force, and opposing the dark side. I have since changed that. The thing is with Yoda is one of my go-to heroes for dueling. And the thing about Yoda, he has very little survivability. So the card's size matters not. I'd argue it's probably his best star card. It's that card and Jedi Mental I never take off. They're just two good cards. As for opposing the dark side, I've replaced that with Feel the Force in Trooper modes. Because again, that just increases the power of size matters not. So, yeah. What? Let's see. Oh, Finn. Okay, Finn. I've kind of changed lots of things when it comes to Finn. It looks like I was originally using In Charge, I can do this, and Race to do one thing. You know, they're not bad cards, but the thing is, Finn has it rather rough with star cards anyway. And really, you're never going to use Finn in a 1v1. You know, in Hero Showdown. Finn's probably the worst hero in Hero Showdown. But for as useful as he can be as a support hero, we use that as support hero. I've never really used Finn in Trooper modes. I think I used him like once successfully. So I like the last phase and the Boo on Galactic Assault. But currently I use In Charge, Beacon of Hope, and No More Winning. I'm so glad I'm not just letting the video play, because this would be a 21-minute video and longer. For Rey, okay, I thought I was using the same loadout, so I'm not. I was originally using Balance, Street Fighter, and Damaging Strike, but it looks like I swapped out Street Fighter with Focus Sight. Because again, this pretty much just doubles the length of insight, and that pretty much means that you have insight on for longer than it is off. For longer than it's on cooldown, sorry. Maul's another one where I know I've done some shifting about. So the original cards I was going with was Flow Motion, Accelerated Throw, and Fool Me Once. If you don't know, Fool Me Once is a bugged card. I still kind of experiment around with Maul. I did eventually replace Fool Me Once with Lightsaber Defense because of that damage reduction on the spin attack, which you probably all know about. For the lightsaber throw though, I do occasionally swap it between accelerated throw and ranged throw. I just can't. I just can't figure it out which one I prefer, because they're both quite good. But then again, Maul's right. Again, the thing is with the lightsaber throws, they're quite tough to pull off. So yeah. Maul's one of those characters where I don't change his loadout, and I forgot to mention it for Rey. I pretty much have never really played her, at least not successfully, in a Trooper mode, so I can't really speak for her. Looks like next up is Luke. Here, I think I have the wrong... No, I have the right star cards on for him. And funnily enough, my loadout is the exact same as it was back then, which I find surprising. Now, I do know for quite a while I swapped out Intensify for Jedi Reflexes, but I did eventually switch it back to Intensify then, I guess. But Epicenter I pretty much always used, and I guess I've just used Rush Immunity for absolute years, when I thought I was only using it like recently for some reason, like back in 2023 or so. I guess we're on to Kylo Ren now. Okay, it seems to have only changed one card. So I've used Bloodlust and Harsh Pull. I was still using them. Oh, for Luke, I don't think I've actually changed Luke's star cards. I think I'll pretty much keep them the same. I think I have experimented around with Jedi Fighter, but I find I do better with the cards I have for hero modes instead for Luke. So anyway, back to Kylo. I pretty much have only one star card that's changed, and I don't really use Kylo in Trooper mode, so I can't really speak for him. But you know, I'm still using Bloodlust and Harsh Pull. But it turns out I was originally using Berserk in Tantrum, but I've changed it to Power Reach. And these are pretty much the cards I've always used with Kylo since I swapped them. I have experimented around again with closing him, and replacing that with Bloodlust. But I'm not. Kylo's one of those heroes I need to get the hang of in Trooper modes. So we're on to Grievous, and again I know he's one of the heroes that I've done some swapping around with. It says in this video I've used Beating Hearts, Flesh is Weak, and Lineup Weaklings, but I know for certain that around that time I wasn't using Lineup Weaklings, I was using Cowardly Retreat. So yeah. I think at one point I did maybe change it to Lineup Weaklings. I could be wrong on that. For the extra bit of damage. But eventually just went with Sith Trained, which is actually a really good card for Grievous. No, actually I think I was just using Cowardly Retreat and then swapped it to Sith Trained. I don't know. But Sith Trained is a really good card for Grievous. If you're not using it, use it. The extra damage is quite noticeable. Again, it does drain more stamina, but it's not. But 25% sounds a lot. It's not. It's really not a lot. It's only like about. I think if I'm remembering correctly, Grievous is able to swing about 14 times. It brings it about down to about 10. Or so, if I'm remembering correctly. I know I probably got that wrong, but you know, it's around about that. And now we're on to Obi-Wan. And I have swapped around his cards a bit. For Grievous I just keep his loadout as it is in Trooper modes. Anyway, for Obi-Wan I'm still using Jedi Resilience, and I'm still using Quickened Focus. I cannot deal with Obi-Wan's default charge up time with them all out push. I've tried stopping it in Trooper modes, I just can't. I can't deal with it. For hero modes, I used to run Perfect Defense, and that's what I was used, and that's what it says I was using in that video. I was using Perfect Defense in that video, but I know at some point, before I was using Quickened Focus, or maybe I wasn't using Quickened Focus. Or maybe I was using Quickened Focus and instead wasn't using Jedi Resilience. But I know I was at one point stacking it with Safeguard, but I know, or I was using Safeguard instead of Perfect. Yeah, that's what it was. I was using Safeguard instead of Perfect Defense. I think at some point I was trying to stack them too, but eventually, recently, I just swapped it to replacing Perfect Defense with Forward, which I think is just a better card, and I've got a bit more use out of that card as well, as Obi-Wan has pretty good stamina with this card, with Perfect Defense, but he has good stamina anyway. It's definitely not as manageable for me, at least, without that card, but the extra damage with forward is good, and this is a loadout that I don't change between modes either. I know a lot of people will say change your loadout between modes, but I'm finding these loadouts are working for me, so now we're on to my personal favourite hero to play in the hero mode, Dooku, and it looks like I've changed him quite a bit. I think this loadout here in the video is set for co-op. So for trooper modes, it's literally the same as it was back then. Sith control, finesse, last seconds. This is pretty much just the loadout that I have the best, that I do the best with in trooper modes, in not just co-op but in general. I pretty much don't change them in trooper modes. Now I know for a long time for hero modes I was using Sith control, masterful, duelist and dominance. But I think it was some point last year, maybe late the year before, I swapped it out with initiative, and that makes pretty much a world of difference. It makes a world of difference. I would suggest that card over dominance. And it doesn't, and you really don't get much of a trade-off either. It doesn't really change. If you have initiative on rather than dominance, you know, it's just better in my opinion. That way you're not having to target a single person. You're able to, if you need to, swap to another person and get that extra damage off. And you pretty much don't have any damage drop off from if you weren't using dominance either. Okay, we're on to Anakin, and it seems like I did quite a massive card swap for him. So it looks like I was using Tenacious, Pressure, and Steamroll, quite funnily enough. I know at some point I changed that to Tenacious, Attraction and more Strength, and recently, because I just find Anakin to be incredibly weak, I found him to be incredibly weak recently. To me, it's just not that strong with his health, so I just needed to give him a little bit extra power, so I swapped Tenacious out with Massive Strikes, and it's, again, for me, made quite the world of difference. Now we're on to BB9E, and I think his cards are the same, but we'll see. No, they're not the same, surprisingly. So, the first two cards are the same, Full Construction and Hearty Exhaust, but I changed out ICU for Link Systems. Funnily enough, people will say BB9 is like one of the worst heroes for trooper modes. I can kind of see it. I haven't really played him in trooper modes outside of co-op, but I can see it for trooper modes. But for hero modes, I'll say he's actually an S tier hero. He's a really good support hero. He's really able to open up openings for his team. BB9 is ridiculous in hero modes. You don't underestimate BB9. He's really annoying to deal with. We got Han Solo here, and I didn't even have all his cards unlocked at the time. It says I was using Broad Shoulders and All In and Smuggler's Wits, but of course I changed that to Airburst, Heavily Modified Blaster, and of course Smuggler's Wits. I still haven't quite figured out my loadout for him in Trooper modes. Sorry, I paused the recording for a moment, had to go do something. Back now. So I was talking about how I haven't figures out my loadout for Han in the trooper modes yet. I have tried using both of the shoulder charge cards. Is that what the ability? Yeah, shoulder charge. The thing is with those cards, it's just I don't find myself using shoulder charge that much in trooper mode, so they're just not really useful to me if they're taking up 2 ability slot, if they're taking up 2 star card slots. I usually take off Smuggler's Wits and Heavily Modified Blaster and keep Airbursts in those modes. I know I have tried using one of the shoulder charge cards alongside Airburst and Heavily Modified Blaster, but yeah, the other cards I just don't know. I don't know what to use. I don't think Keep Your Head Cool would work for me because I'm barely ever going to get a headshot. I don't really aim for headshots unless I'm intentionally doing it. And I don't often intentionally go for headshots. So that's not going to be a useful card to me in the slightest. I'll probably even forget what the card does as well, so it probably won't even motivate me to get them. So I may just have to keep the loadout as it is, but I'll see if I play hand more in those modes, I'll see if I figure anything out. So who was next? I done Versio. Okay. And it seems like I was restricted by how many cards I had at the time. Because the cards I use now, 2 of them are cards that were locked at the time for me. At the time I was using alternate methods, Shock Reach and Shield Sustain, but that's mainly because I hadn't unlocked Droid Batteries and Cools Blaster. At that point I switched to alternative methods, Droid Batteries and Cool Blaster, and I pretty much never looked back. You know, these are pretty much the only cards you ever use on Iden, for the most part. Let's look at Lando. Okay, it's not. I don't think it's even fair to go for Lando because I only had him at level 3 at the time, and I could only use Hot and Cold. But I can still get a bit out of Lando, you know, for his current loadout because I use Hot and Cold, Buckle Up Baby, and Wide-Eyed for hero modes. Again, I haven't used Lando much in her trooper modes. The thing about Lando is that he's just like Boba in that he has terrible cards for the most part. And the thing is, Quick Shock is not quick at all. You have to wait 5 seconds, not detonate it within 5 seconds. And for the most part, I was never going to get that 5-second wait out, so I eventually just switched it to Wide Eyes, which at least allows me to use Sharp Shot at a longer range in hero modes. Not that it's going to happen often, but you know, I'm going to get more use out of that. For Leia, okay, doesn't seem to be too much changed. It's just because this card, Relentless Firing, was that card was not unlocked for me at the time. I only was at level 27 at that time. But at that time I was using High Spirit, Fearless, and Rebel Heart. But of course I eventually switched off Fearless and used Relentless Firing, comboing it with Rebel Heart and High Spirit. Again, I've experimented around with Leia's cards. I still can't figure out what her best loadout is for trooper modes. And again, the thing is, for trooper modes, at the moment I'm really wanting to try and focus on Boba. But I can never really get... For Rebellion Era Supremacy, I always get light side. For Galactic Assault, I'm never on the maps I want, and it takes me forever to get to those maps I want. Or I get the map I want, and then it ends, but I'm on light side, and then it ends and goes to a new map the following match. So I just very rarely get to use Boba to how much I would enjoy to use him, and when I do finally get to use him, you know, I end up dying. But anyway, back to Leia. It's okay, I usually switch to Laser Brain, I know what a lot of people were going to say, but I have experimented around with that on longer range maps, and Stay Together again, that card I don't get too much use out of really in trooper modes. Now we're switching over to Phasma, who again is very restricted by the fact I only had him at level 9 at the time. But now I have a lot more cards for. At the time I was using the more the better Blaster Inspection and Finish Him Off. But now I'm using the more the better Safety First and Not Hard Enough. So, yeah. I don't know why I was doing it all in this odd order in this video. Odd video. To BB-8 now. Again, okay, I wasn't restricted by star cards. I didn't have this unlocked at this. I didn't have Roll Together unlocked at the time, but I never used it. I guess for BB-8 at the time, I was using Self Repairs, Head First, and Whirlwind. But for hero modes, I pretty much changed that to just Self Repairs, Head First, and Uncover. But for the I don't use BB-8 in Trooper modes. I haven't used Phasma in Trooper modes, so I can't really give you a loadout for that. And funnily enough, I didn't do anything for Chewbacca. And that looks like it looks as if it's because I had him at level 3 at the time. But I'll give you my loadout for him here. Again, I haven't used him in Trooper modes, so I use Bonus Health, Shocked and Vulnerable, and Slammed. And I think, yes, thank you, Chewie. I think that's every hero. I think that we've just gone over every hero there. Some heroes have better star cards than others, but these are the loadouts that work for me. Again, these are mostly for hero modes. If I had a loadout for Trooper modes, then I've brought it up for you in a video. Like with Yoda, I have a slightly different loadout. For like Obi-Wan, I use the same loadout. Now I'll bring it up if I haven't got a loadout for them in Trooper modes. I usually don't bring up the Trooper modes, or let you know I haven't got one. But yeah, I suppose this is where I'll end off the video. And this is quite a pleasant surprise to see just how different these loadouts are compared to how they were for me back in July 14th, 2021. It's incredible to think it was that long ago. Anyway, I think that will bring this video to an end. And this is only about 6 minutes longer than the previous video. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and goodbye.